going?
I'm going upstairs. Because I'm going to put my nutsack on your drum set. Okay?
If you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife. Ian, go in the room. I will go ape shit.
Don't miss a spot. John Bob's playing Moby Dick for real.
I swear to God. I swear to God.
What's up, everybody? This is Average Planeswalker, and I waited until the late evening. It's almost midnight because when I did my last spoiler video, this is part 2 to Stepbrothers War of spoilers, and when I did that one, I think it was about early in the morning, but I edit and put it out late at night. But anyway, I figured I'd wait until all the spoilers for today, which is the 30th. So there are a few from the previous day that I'm going to go over. I'm trying to get through these pretty quick without rambling on like I did in the first one. But anyway, one that I missed was Monastery Swiftspear. And this makes, like they've printed this card enough, but this makes Monastery Swiftspear Pioneer legal now, if I remember right. And I mean, there's not much to really say about Monastery Swiftspear. It's been a staple ever since it was printed the first time. It's a staple in Modern. It's a staple in Standard. It will be again, as it was back when it first came out during Khan's block, I think it was. It's a staple in Pauper, and it's used in EDH as well. So I think Legacy and Vintage possibly uses it. I mean, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. It's got haste. It's a 1 red. It's a 1/2. Has prowess. Why wouldn't they? But yeah, Monastery Swiftspear is back. It's going to be a pain, but temporary lockdown takes care of it, so whatever. Alright, so as from last time, we're just going to stick to the cards that are standard. I'm going to make a few honorary picks and everything from these new like retro-styled Urza style framework arts that I'm stoked for. One is Chromatic Lantern. I've always loved Chromatic Lanterns because I'm a 5-color hoe. Like, I love playing 5-color anything. And anybody who knows me can tell you that's 100% true. And if you've seen some of my streams, it's 100% true. But a Chromatic Lantern, it's like a sketch and design and everything, and I love it. It's dope. Swiftfoot Boots looks sick. I like it. But the other one is Quicksilver Amulet. I've always loved Quicksilver Amulet. I remember playing it in Standard, and that was when the Praetors first came out in Nufi, I believe. And so I was putting out Shieldreds and Elish Norns. I think I was doing 5-color Quicksilver Amulet during the time because it was in Standard. It came out in a core set. So that was really fun. Aetherflux Reservoir. That is a staple in EDH. That's also known as the Death Star from Star Wars. Represent. Anyway, that's a pretty cool card coming in there. Mishra's Bauble. This is good. I'm glad they're doing this because it's going to keep bringing down the price of Mishra's Bauble in paper and in Moto. So that's really cool. I'm stoked for that. The other one I saw was Helm of the Host. It doesn't see too much play except for maybe a few EDH decks, but I played it in my my Stacks deck, blue-white. What's his name? St. Augustine. Augustine? Yeah, Augustine. I can't remember. Anyway, I played it in that deck, and I had like 4 Augustines out. So my blue and white spells cost 1 less, but my opponent's spells cost 1 more. So there was a point where they had to pay 9 for a Path to Exile, and that was like totally worth it. But the artwork looks dope. I like it. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Defense Grid will be a welcomed reprint. Inspiring Sanctuary or Statuary. I liked that card. I played it in Standard. It was really fun. Cage Sun. I'm so stoked for this. I play that in my mono blue Teferi. Mox Amber. It's a great reprint. Great reprint. And that takes us for all the retro art. So I just wanted to blast through those real quick. And now let's get back to Standard stuff. So Urza's Command. We're going to do the commands again. Urza's Command came out, was spoiled, and I don't think it's good. And as a blue player, I'm kind of disappointed, but then again, I think we're spoiled by Cryptic Command, honestly, because Cryptic Command is just so good, even though it doesn't seem modern play anymore, because Archmage's Charm is just in a sense better. But Urza's command is 2 and 2 blue, instant, choose 2. Creatures you don't control get a -2/-0 until the end of turn. Create a tapped Power Stone token. Create a tapped 0/0 construct. This creature gets a +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Or scry 1, then draw a card. For the most part, you're probably going to be using this either as a defensive and then scry draw, or you're going to be doing it as an end of turn, create a Power Stone to ramp, and then scry draw. I don't know if you'll hardly use the construct, only for the fact that it comes in tapped. That's the worst part about it. Honestly, I don't know why they did that, because you can't even use this to block at instant speed. So that kind of sucks. Like, even if it came in by itself, it's just a 1/1. And then if you were to creatures you don't control get a -2/-0 until end of turn, and then create a construct, you would have some sort of like defense there that is a little bit better and possibility of taking something else out. Having the creature come in tapped, I think that's what made the card bad, honestly. So I don't know. I might try it as a 1 or 2 of, but honestly, I think at the 4 spot, I'd probably just play Memory Deluge, or an Urtai or Obscura Interceptor. I know those are 2 different colors and 3 different colors, but in this meta, in this format with the lands we have, that's not a big deal. So it's just a matter of the cost at this point. So Urza's command, Memory Deluge, Urtai, and Obscura Interceptor all cost 4. And Urtai and Obscura Interceptor are the closest things we have as Remand in Standard right now. So it just seems like those might just be better to use rather than putting this in your 4-drop slot. So it's unfortunate. I was really stoked to see it. I'm going to try it out, and we'll see what it goes from there. Another card that I missed that came out late the other day, In the Trenches, 1 and 2 white. Creatures you control get a +1/+1. So this is an Anthem, but you also have the option to pay 5 colorless and a white to exile target non-land permanent you don't control until In the Trenches leaves the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery and only once. I don't see this. I don't think this is going to be seeing play. We just got an iteration in Dominaria of creature anthems, and obviously it's easier to remove a creature than it is enchantment, but nowadays or at least in this meta, it's easier or just as easy to remove an enchantment as it is a creature. But adding, because this is just a regular anthem, but you add on the extra ability for 5 and a white, but that's just so expensive. I'd rather just play Leyline Binding. I don't think this is going to see too much play. There's just so much removal to get rid of it. You're just going to waste your 3-drop, and it won't be worth it to play. Leyline Binding is just better in that regards. You don't get the Anthem aspect, but for 1 white you can remove something. What do we got next? Soul Partition. 1 and a white, instant. Okay, so just heads up. From here on up, I haven't read anything. So my reaction is going to be legit. Like, I haven't read any is what happened in the last day. So I'm kind of excited for that, to be honest. There might be 1 or 2 that I saw like on Twitter or something, but Soul Partition I haven't seen. So 1 and a white, it's a rare, instant, exile target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more to cast. Sorry, I have to read things a few times sometimes. Exile target non-land permanent, period. Okay. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more to cast. Okay, exile target non-land permanent. So if I exile my own to save it from something, for as long as that card remains in exile, its owner may play it. Then I could play it for its regular cost again. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more. Okay, so that's pretty cool for white. So if there's a board wipe that happens, or they try to Leyline Binding, or they try to borrow time, or they try to Infernal Grasp, or any type of spot removal for any of your creatures, you can Soul Partition your own creature, or even Planeswalker, or enchantment, or anything like that. But mostly for Planeswalker and creatures, but non-land permanent. You can do that for yourself and then play it at its regular cost again later. So that's pretty sick. And if you do it to an opponent, they have to pay 2 more. This card's really good. I like this. And it's only 2. This is going to look gorgeous in foil too. Oh man, I'm stoked to use that. That is really good. I like that a lot. Yeah. All right, let's go on next. Transmogrant's Crown. 2-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets a +2/+0. Whenever quick creature dies, draw a card. Equip 2 or a black. Okay, so this was one of them that I did see on Twitter. And people are comparing it to the Skull Clamp, to Sclamp. Which I can see that. Obviously, for what we have, this is pretty good, but Sclamp is just better. So this isn't too bad. Will they see play? Probably, yeah, most likely. Next card, the Stone Brain. Oh, I did see this one. Yes, the Stone Brain. I saw this one and the next one coming up. Don't at me. The Stone Brain. 2-drop legendary artifact. Tap 2 and tap it. Exile the Stone Brain. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Activate only as a sorcery. So my first thought was possibly a better. I don't want to say better. It just reminded me of Surgical Extraction. Obviously, Surgical Extraction is still top tier. It's still better than this because it costs 2 life. That's it. You usually don't pay the black for it. You just pay the Phyrexian, which is the 2 life. It's at instant speed, and you can use it in response to triggers going on the stack, such as like a Eldrazi getting shuffled in. You can exile it instead with the trigger on the stack, and then nothing gets exiled from there. So in that regards, it's really, really good. The fact that you can only do this as a sorcery is what limits it so much. But for standard purposes, this is really, really good. I know for sure I'll be putting probably 2 to 3 of these in my sideboard. At least 2 in almost every deck, for the simple fact that I can't stand Invoke Despair, as we all know. I think I say it at least once in every video. But I can now play this on turn 2, and then on turn 3, crack it, and remove all Invoke Despairs. And I don't have to see Invoke Despair in order to get rid of it. So I'm really stoked for that. And if they have 1 or 2 in their hand, I don't care. Draw your cards. But that card is gone. Alright, I dwelled on that too much. Anyway, next card. Hurkyl's Final Meditation. 4 and 3 blue for an instant. As long as it's not your turn, the spell costs 3 more to cast. So, if I do this at instant speed on my opponent's turn, this costs 10. What does it do? Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. End the turn. I don't think this is going to see play. It's way too expensive. Like if you do it on your turn, just so you could pay the 7 and not be penalized to pay 3 more on your opponent's turn, you're almost forced to cast this as a sorcery speed just so you're not waiting until you have 10 mana to do this. By then you're probably dead. I mean the ability is so strong, it's just so expensive, and I get it. And I'm trying to think of ways that we can make it cheaper. The only thing I could think of, because Power Stones can't do it. Power Stones can't cast this. The only thing that I can think of is Urza Planeswalker reducing the cost by 4, because you activate the +2 ability twice, reduce the cost by 4 of instant sorceries. So then it would cost from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. It would cost 6 at instant speed. Or is that until the end of turn? I think it's till end of turn for Urza's thing, my bad. So then no, you would still have to do this at sorcery speed. Which would kind of suck. Like, yeah, because it returns all of your stuff back to your hand. I'm not a fan of that card. Let's go to the next one. Next one is Drafna, founder of Lat-Nam. 1 and a blue, it's a 2/1 legendary creature. Human Artificer Advisor. I'm honestly tired of legendary creatures. We have way too many in the format. And I get it, they're made for EDH players, but like, stop putting so many legendaries in standard. I'm tired of it. Okay. It's a 2/1 creature. For 1 and a blue, you can return target artifact you control to its owner's hand, and tap 3 and tap it. Copy target artifact spell you control. The copy becomes a token. That's really good. I like that a lot. That's really good. Return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. Wow. I'm not going to try and think off the top of my head what this can be comboed with in standard, because I want to try and get through these, but there's going to be a lot of things that you can do with this. What would you want to bring back? I haven't been playing artifacts a whole lot lately. Artifacts haven't been really a main point of the meta, except for my vehicle Tokyo Drift deck recently. I mean, return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. I can return a vehicle, but it's not going to do much. But casting a vehicle and then copying it, because it says copy target spell, so in response you would activate this and do it. I think that part's going to be really good. What do we got next? Tawnos, the Toymaker. If I remember right, Tawnos is Urza's apprentice, so that's why he has he started copying his hair and all sorts of stuff. But it's kind of cool. So 3 and Simic. Legendary creature, human artificer, 3/5. Whenever you cast a beast or bird creature spell, you may copy it. Except the copy, is an artifact in addition to its other types. Excuse me. This is very specific for an EDH deck for beasts and birds. There's more beasts that are threats than birds, I believe. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be very good in standard. That's why it's almost a dead card in standard, because it's obviously it's EDH. So that's why it's a little upsetting. What do we got next? Clay Revenant for 1. A 1/2 artifact creature golem. Clay Revenant enters the battlefield tapped. Tap 2 and a black. Return Clay Revenant from your graveyard to your hand. So we've seen a lot of cards like this before where you can tap an ability while it's in your graveyard to either return it to your hand or return it back to the battlefield tapped. So it's just another one of those. It just costs 1 to do that, so that's not too bad. And it's an artifact, though. Usually we see them that are creatures that are black, and they have that ability to return. And we do have 1 black, I think it's a zombie, and it enters the battlefield tapped from your graveyard. So I think, it's not something new. Giant Growth is back. All right, well, Giant Growth is back. Cool. And on to the next one. Mishra's Juggernaut, which is a 5-drop artifact creature, and it's a Juggernaut. It's a 5/3 trample. It attacks each combat if able, and it has Unearth for 5 and a red. Okay. This might be good in limited. The 3 toughness is going to suck, but at the same time you could just unearth it and bring it back. It does have trample, so it's really good. Let's see, what do we got next? Overwhelming Remorse, 4 and a black instant speed. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your graveyard. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Whoa. Obviously, you have to have the creature base in your graveyard for this to be really good. But even if you have 2 creatures in there, this costs 2 and a black to exile a creature or planeswalker at instant speed. The only other card that we have like that is that I can remember is Vraska's Contempt, which was 3 and a black, if I remember right. And you can exile target creature or planeswalker, and then I think you gain 2 or 3 life. But the possibility of this for 1 black, black is getting so much love, ridiculous amount of love. They don't need a 1-drop exile. That's ridiculous. That is crazy. Jeez, there's another thing to worry about. Stern Lesson, 2 and a blue instant, draw 2 cards, then discard a card, create a tapped Power Stone token. This is good. I like this card. Draw 2 and then discard a card. You're going to be deciding if you want to play this or Impulse, if you want this type of effect, and it's the Power Stone that puts it over the top if you're kind of going that route and creating Power Stones and making artifacts and things like that. So that's where it's going to come down to which one is going to be better for your deck. But I like this card. Discarding a card isn't that bad. You get to draw 2 and you create a mana source for 3 at instant speed. That's good. I mean, they could have made this sorcery and it just would have been terrible. So, what do we got next? Tocasia's Onulet. 5-drop artifact, creature construct. It's a 4/4. When Tocasia's Onulet leaves the battlefield, you gain 2 life and it has Unearth for 3 and a white. So it's really good that it says when it leaves and not when it dies. That way, when you unearth it, you can gain that life again when it exiles itself. So that's not bad. It'll be good limited play. Next we have Yotian Dissident, which is a green and a white human artificer, and he's a 1/1. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That's really good, because it's not just on himself. So you can start building the other board state that you're bringing up, whether it be tokens or anything else, because it's green-white. So that's not bad. What do we got next? Oh, that's right. I do remember seeing this. Goat for the Throat. Destroy target non-artifact creature. Um, it's been a long time since we've seen this card, like back in Standard, like years, and I'm stoked to see it back. Of course, it's black. I forgot. Oh, my Lanta. Anyway, what do we got? Argothian Opportunist. 2 and a green. Human Scout. It's a 3/2 creature. When Argothian Opportunist enters the battlefield, create a tapped Power Stone. So for 3, you get a 3/2 creature, and you create a mana source. It's not bad. It's a good limited card. I think we're getting into some limited cards here. Yotian Medic is the next card, which is a 2 and a white. Human Cleric Soldier. That's a lot of subtypes. Human, Cleric, and Soldier. So it'll get anthemed by the I think the Soldier Anthem creature that we have that came from Dominaria. It mixes well with Clerics as well. And then I think we have an angel. What's her name? Not Avacyn. Sigarda. Sigarda affects humans. So I mean, that's really good. It's a 1/4 lifelink, so not huge stats, but I think it's the subtypes of it that is what makes this card good. At least for limited, probably. Third Path Savant is the next card. 2 and a blue. Excuse my cats, they're just wild right now. They're wilding out right now. Tap 7, draw 2 cards. So it's a 2/3 creature, human wizard. There's good and bad things about this card. The bad is obvious. It costs 7 to draw 2 cards. The good is that you're going to draw 2 cards. The other good is that you can use Power Stone shards to activate this. So we'll see what that does. I think it's only going to be limited play. I don't think it's going to be good enough for Standard. You just have better 3-drops. You have better things in the 3-drop slot to have to worry about Power Stone shards and sinking mana into this. I'd rather Impulse rather than draw 7. I'd rather Stern Lesson. So I think that's all it's going to be is limited. Because in limited, you're going to get to the 7. And at some point, you're just going to swing past turn, end of turn, tap 7, draw 2, and then it's your turn. Like that's going to happen. Like I would pick this in limited. Next card we have is Bitter Reunion, 1 and a red enchantment. When Bitter Reunion enters the battlefield, you may draw a card. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. And it has an activated ability of tap 1 colorless, sack Bitter Reunion. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Doesn't seem too bad. It's more draw for red, which is crazy. I haven't seen red draw so much in probably the last 6-7 years. As much as we have in the last 6 or 7 years, excuse me. But yeah, it won't be too bad. I mean, the fact that you get to draw cards off of it as an enchantment, and then later if you have some tokens out that you can generate or some creatures that you can generate and they don't have haste, you can give your board haste. That's not bad. Alright, next card is Gaea's Cursor. 4 and a green. It's a 4/5 Centaur Soldier creature. When Gaea's Cursor attacks, if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, draw a card. Limited card, limited bomb. Even if you don't get the draw card effect, it's still a 5-drop 4/5, which isn't bad. Next we have Skitterbeam Battalion, which is a 9-drop artifact construct. It's a 4/4 creature that has trample haste, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. And it has prototype. So you can cast this for 3 and 2 red, and it'll be a 2/2 with trample haste, and then you can create 2 more of them that are 2/2s with trample haste for 5. So you're technically putting 6 power on the board for 5 mana that have trample haste. It's not too bad. And then if you just cast it for 9 using Power Stone shards, you can have 3 4/4s that have trample haste. So you're putting out 12 power on the board. So it's a mythic. Do I think it's a mythic? I don't know. That's a lot of mana to just sink into it when there's so many board wipes and spot removal. That's tough. It'll probably see play. What do we have here? Tocasia's Welcome. 2 and a white enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability only triggers once. Oh, so that just goes right with Wedding Announcement. Wow, that's really good. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say about it. It's good. Let's see, what do we have here? Kayla's Reconstruction. I think, did we talk about this? This seems familiar. X and 3 white. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to X artifact and or creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to X artifact and or creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Oh, it's not total. Like Ao the Dragon or whatever. So this is, look at the top 7. So if you have like 6 artifact and creatures and you paid with mana value 3 or less, and you paid 3, oh no, 4. Let's say you paid 4 and you find a 1, 2, 3 drop, or a 1, 2, 3 and a 3 drop, then you can put all of those onto the battlefield. That's crazy. 3, wow, that's really good. Yeah, that's not bad. Because even at 5, if you just look at the top 2 and you hit 2 of them, you're putting two things out that that is a total cost of like 6, possibly, at the top, at the best of it. Anyway, next card we have is Clay Champion, which is X and 4. I think this is the first time, 4 colorless. I think this is the first time we've ever seen a CMC like this before. I don't remember seeing it like this. But it's a mythic construct creature. It's a 2/2. Clay Champion enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it for each green spent to cast it. When Clay Champion enters the battlefield, choose up to 2 other target creatures you control. For each white spent to cast Clay Champion, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each of them. So they're trying to make you play this in a specific color type so you can get the added benefits. Enters the battlefield with 3 counters for each of that spent on it. Clay Champion enters the battlefield with up to 2 other target creatures you control. For each white put on them. So yeah, if essentially you can cast this for 4 and you'll have a 2/2 construct with any mana. But as far as I know, the best outcome of this is if you're playing it in some sort of a green-white, or at this point 5 color deck. It doesn't matter as long as you have the green and white to pay for it. Okay, next card we have Ashnod Flesh Mechanist. Mechanist or Mechanist? I think it's Mechanist. For 1 black, it's a 1/1 creature with Death Touch. She's a human artificer, legendary creature, another legendary. Whenever Ashnod enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a tap Power Stone token. Tap 5, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token. I don't know the implications of this in Standard. I feel like this is going to be something good in EDH, but in Standard, I don't know how far it's going to go because Sleeper Agent, Sleeper Agent is just better. Exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a 3/3 zombie artifact creature token for 5. I don't know, it's like, because for 5 mana, you're either going to play Invoke Despair, or you'll probably play this out and you might be playing a Shieldred instead for 4 mana, or a Sorin for 4 mana, or just something else, rather than spending an entire turn to exile a creature to make a 3/3 token. There's just better things. I don't know if this is going to see much Standard play, but I could be completely wrong. I might not be seeing it properly. But on a side note, it's really cool to finally get an Ashnod creature card, which is pretty dope. Seeing as how we've seen Ashnod's Altar, and I think like 1 or 2 other Ashnod reference cards as well. So that's pretty cool. Next we got Fade from History, which is 2 and 2 green sorcery. It's a rare. Each player who controls an artifact or enchantment creates a 2/2 green bear creature token. Then destroy all artifacts and enchantments. So essentially this is just a better, I wouldn't say better, but it's just a cheaper farewell in a sense. I know they don't exile, but even if I don't have any enchantments or artifacts, and my opponent does, those are going to be a lot more powerful than a 2/2 green bear. So I might be putting this in the sideboard. I'm going to test it out in place of Farewell, or maybe just like a 2 of this and maybe a 1 of Farewell, something like that, because the exile graveyard mechanic is still really, really good. But we're going to see how good that is still if Graveyard Recursion is just as good as it is right now when Brothers War comes out, because it's going to change. This set is going to change up the meta completely, and I can't wait. So I don't think Fade from History is a bad card. I think it's going to see some play. it's kind of cool to see mono green get a answer to all those enchantments and artifacts that are out there. So that's pretty dope. Okay, and that brings us. That was all. I didn't realize that was all the 29th cards, which was 2 days ago. Excuse me. And that brings us to okay, Thran Spider. It's a 3-drop artifact, rare creature. It's a 2/4 and it has reach. I already had this discussion about reach. Like, I don't understand why certain creatures get reach and Leviathans don't get reach, or Krakens don't get reach. Whatever. When Thran Spider enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each create a tapped Power Stone. Excuse me. And you can tap 7, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So for 7, you can look at the top 4 and reveal just one artifact card from it and put it into your hand. So it's kind of like tap 7, draw a card. I don't know. I think when this enters the battlefield, creating the Power Stone shard or Power Stone token is going to be the best part of this card. Fortunately and unfortunately, your opponent's going to get one. Fortunately, they may not be able to use it as much as you can, especially if you're building a deck with artifacts based off Power Stone shards. Unfortunately, they do get it, and if they have activated abilities such as Blitz, they can use that Power Stone shard to reduce that cost. So we're going to see how it plays out. But this has a possibility of being okay, and then you can use that other creature we saw earlier that was blue to bounce an artifact back to your hand, because this has the ETB and creating more Power Stones, so it's not too bad. Next we got another legendary creature, Harbin Vanguard Aviator, a blue and a white human soldier. It's a 3/2, and he has flying, I guess because he's in a mech machine. Whenever you attack with 5 or more soldiers, creatures you control get a +1/+1 and gain flying until end of turn. So they're really pushing soldiers. I mean, there's not much to really say about it. It's just creatures you control get a +1. Oh, and flying. That's different. I think I heard myself read it, but I didn't comprehend. +1/+1 and gain flying. That's really good. And it's just a blue and a white. Wow, that one's good. Next we got the Fall of Kroog, 4 and 2 red sorcery. Choose target opponent. Destroy target land that player controls. The Fall of Kroog deals 3 damage to that player and 1 damage to each creature they control. So this is just like an expensive land D for standard, but it can possibly board wipe tokens if there's no anthem on the board, such as Wedding Announcement, or the Soldier Anthem creature, or any Anthem creature at that point, or the new 3-drop Anthem that has a 6 cost effect on it. 1 damage to each creature. I mean, the other better way to play this is just to swing your board in, see what they block with, and then on main phase 2, blow up land. They get bolted, and then you possibly board wipe or take out like 2 or 3 creatures that just needed 1 more damage, you know. So this would probably be better played on your main phase 2. Next card we have is a land, Hall of Tagsin. It's a land which comes in untapped, so it can tap for a colorless, or you can tap 1 colorless and add 1 mana of any color, or you can tap 4 to create a tapped Power Stone token. I was wondering if they're going to make something like this. I wasn't sure if they were going to put it on a land or on some sort of artifact, but to just make one at instant speed. That's really good, actually. I like that a lot, because you can use the Power Stone shards to create it. So eventually you will just be tap that land, create a Power Stone token. And I'm telling you, those Karns going to be good. Alright, now we're getting into some big boys. So first one we got is Depth Charge Colossus, which is a 9-drop Dreadnought artifact creature. It's a 9/9. Depth Charge Colossus doesn't untap during your untap step. You have to tap 3 to untap it. But you can prototype it for a 4 and 2 blue, and then it comes in as a 6/6. Again, Power Stone shards are going to play an important role when you're playing cards like this, because you're going to want to use those shards to untap your creature like this and still have your mana base up. Yeah. Next card we got is Rust Goliath. It's a 10-drop, and it's a 10/10 artifact creature construct. Has Reach Trample, and prototype 3 and 2 green to make it 3/5 that has Reach and Trample. I guess it seems fine. Like, even if you throw it down as a 5-drop, it's a 3/5 with reach and trample, so it's not too bad. The next one we got is Arcane Proxy. So it's kind of cool that we got 2 blue ones as a blue player. So the artwork's pretty sick. This is a 7-drop 4/3 artifact creature wizard. When Arcane Proxy enters the battlefield, if you cast it, exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to Arcane Proxy's power from your graveyard. Copy that card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Ooh, that's really good. So it has prototype for 1 and 2 blue instead of casting 7, and it would come in as a 2/1. It doesn't have flash. God, that would just make it busted probably. It doesn't have flash, but if you cast it, exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to Arcane Proxy's power from a graveyard. So you can hit a Memory Deluge off of this. You can hit one of the new commands. If you bring it in as a 4/3. If you prototype it, you can hit Infernal Grasp. You can hit Impulse. You can hit, like obviously the 2-drops and below, but that's really good. I like that card. And we got next is the Temporal Anchor. It costs 3 and 3 blue. Legendary artifact. It's a rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 2. That alone's really good. But for 6, I don't know. Let's keep reading, right? Whenever you choose to put 1 or more cards on the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom of your library. Whenever you choose to put 1 or more cards on the bottom of your library. So I assume the ones, if you do scry it, then instead of scrying, or instead of putting them to the bottom, you would just exile those ones from that scry, I assume. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with temporal art. During your turn, you may... Ooh, that's really good. So it's almost like a second hand off to the side, but if this artifact gets blown up or something, then those are gone. So, yeah, that's kind of a high risk, high reward. And we come to another mythic, Urza's Silex. It's a 3-drop because we already have Karn Silex, and if I remember right, Urza was the first one to use the Silex back in the day. So Urza Silex is a 3-drop legendary artifact. This is a mythic. It has an activated ability of 2 and 2 white. Exile Urza's Silex. Each player chooses 6 lands they control. Destroy all other permanents. Activate only as a sorcery. Wow. Alright, let's read the next half. When Urza's Silex is put into exile from the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, search your library for a Planeswalker card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. This will just tutor a walker for you. That's really good. And the thing about Urza's Silex is it doesn't come in tapped. Exile Urza's Silex. Each player chooses 6 lands they control and destroy all other permanents. Activate only as a sorcery. Wow. When it's put into exile from the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, tutor for a Planeswalker. That's really good. I like that. We're going to have to figure out a way to play that. Alright, what do we got next? We have... Saheeli's back. Well, I mean, I know she's back in the lore. I've been listening to the lore, and it's crazy. It's actually really good. I'm liking it. And Saheeli is back. She's helping Teferi go on his pilgrimage to the past. So she's very much so in this Brothers War right now. There's a lot of people in this Brothers War. It's almost like when we had the War of the Spark. A lot of Planeswalkers are coming together for this because I think Koth is coming back too. He's been mentioned that Mirrodin is helping with this fight, I believe. We just had Elspeth jump in, and her and Joda were fighting together. It's pretty awesome. Like, if you have a chance, I think it's called the Ether Hub. Go check them out, and I'll try and leave a link in my description for them. They are awesome when it comes to lore. It's amazing. Anyway, Planeswalker, right? Yeah, Saheeli Filigree Master, 2 red and a blue. Legendary Planeswalker. She comes in at 3 loyalty, +1, scry 1. You may tap an untapped artifact you control. If you do, draw a card. Okay, -2, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. They gain haste until end of turn. So create 2 1/1 Thopters. Okay, it's not bad. She creates 2 blockers. It's pretty good. -4. That seems pretty low. You get an emblem. Oh no. -4. You get an emblem. You get an emblem with artifact creatures you control get a +1/+1, and artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Artifact creatures you control get a +1/+1. So this emblem is an anthem for artifacts, for artifact creatures. And then it has your artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. So if you're able to get like 2 of these emblems, which would be very difficult because she's going to be almost killed on the spot, but if you can get 2 of them, that's 2 anthems, and your artifact spells cost 2 less. Wow, that's really good. And the artwork is just gorgeous. I can't wait to see this thing foil. Oh, that's going to be so good. I want to see the full art. I'm excited for the full art. Yeah, I'm stoked for this card. Okay, so the next card we got is Portal to Phyrexia, which is a 9-drop artifact. It's a mythic. When Portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. So it's kind of got like a Shieldred effect. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Like, I could see this standard working in standard, but this just says EDH all over it. It's a good card. Enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. Each opponent, so you don't sacrifice yours. That's really good. Yeah, I can't wait to make an artifact deck. Like, I'm stoked to do this. Like, I'm so stoked for this set. I might actually buy like a box paper for this, and I haven't bought a paper box set in probably 2 years. So this one might get me. Let's see, what do we got next? Diabolic Intent? That's a tutor. That's a straight up tutor. 1 and a black sorcery. An additional cost to cast the spell. Sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand, then shuffle. Oh man! Of course it's Diabolic Intent. It's in black. Oh, I mean, there's not much else to say about it. Of course, it's a mythic. I think Diabolic Intent was a rare when it first came out. Was that in Portal? I want to say I think that was in Portal. Diabolic Intent. Maybe not? What am I thinking here? No, it wasn't. It was is that Invasion? I don't remember what set that is. But anyway, it wasn't Portal. But anyway, either way, yeah, it's gonna be really, that's gonna be a sought after card for standard, and it's gonna be expensive, and it's gonna be played for sure. So next we got Visions of Phyrexia, 2 and 2 red. It's an enchantment. It's a mythic. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Again, it's like another pseudo draw. God, red gets so much draw. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't play a card from exile this turn, create a tap Power Stone token. There's like no downside to this. This will be good in Is It? At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And then if you don't, you create a Power Stone. That's pretty good. Next we have a legendary creature. Hajar, Loyal Bodyguard. Green and a red. It's a human soldier. It's a 3/3. Sacrifice Hajar. Legendary creatures you control get a +1 and +1 gain indestructible to end of turn. That's really good. As long as you're playing like a legendary deck, which this would just fits right in with New Joda. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, where are we at now? I think we're getting close to the end. So we got the Stasis Coffin, which is a 3-drop artifact, legendary, and it's mythic. Costs 2, or excuse me, tap 2 colorless, tap it, exile Stasis Coffin. You gain protection from everything until your next turn. That's an artifact colorless fog. That's crazy. And you can activate that instant speed. That's really good. That's really good. That's a fog. Yeah, that's a colorless fog. Not just for combat, but you can't be hit for burn. You can't be thought seized or, duressed or whatever. You can't be attacked. You can't be targeted by enchantments or anything. And, like, that's really good. That is really good. What do we got next? What the heck is this? Liberator. Urza's Battle Thopter, which is a 3-drop legendary artifact creature Thopter. It's a 1/2 creature. Ooh, has flash. If it has flash, it's usually good. Has flash, has flying. You may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. Oh. Man, that's what the set needed. Give all your artifact spells flash. And colorless spells. Yeah, and colorless and artifact spells. Because there's some artifacts that have color to it, so I mean, wow, that's really good. Alright, let's finish reading it. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than Battle Thopter's power, put a +1/+1 counter on Liberator. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Another legendary, and it's Bant. Tocasia Dig Site Mentor, which is 1 colorless and Bant. Legendary creature, human artificer. Creatures you control have vigilance and tap to surveil 1. It's a 4/3 creature, and then you has an activated ability of 2 colorless, 2 green, 2 white, 2 blue, Bant colors. Exile Tocasia from your graveyard. Return any number of target artifact cards with total mana value 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Excuse me. I can see that being really good, especially in EDH. But for standard, that can be really good. Return any number of target artifact cards with total mana value 10 or less. So all of them have to equal 10 or less. So you don't want to get any like of those Goliaths that cost like 9 and 7. You want to get some of the smaller ones like Stasis Coffin. Well, you can't. It gets exiled. Or maybe the Liberator here, and a couple of other things. But that's pretty good. Because you can use 2 Power Stone shards to drop the cost by 2 colorless, obviously, and then just pay the Bant colors. Looks like, yep, we're at the last card. Lauren of the Third Path. 2 and a white legendary creature and a legendary creature, human artificer. It's a 2/1 vigilance. When the Third Path enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. And then it has tap you and target opponent each draw a card. That's really good. It's a simple card. It's effective, and it's going to get you draw power. And if you have a Shieldred out because you're playing Esper or something, you're forcing your opponent to take 2 damage, which is pretty good. So I like this card. I wouldn't mind trying to fit it into my Esper build as like a 2-of probably because it's legendary. Just so I can have that draw effect in case I do have a Shieldred out. And even if I don't mind drawing the extra card for myself. So yeah, let's see. Let's hit a quick refresh just to be sure. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, this set is looking really fun, as did Dominaria, so I was pretty stoked about it. And like I said, this is looking really good. I am very excited for this set for Standard. And I'm happy to see a bunch of old cards coming back to be in Standard. So I'm doing some card searching for old cards and things. So, but that will be it for today. We'll see what other spoilers come out, and don't forget to check out all my other videos, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace.